We all know about the African Serengeti, vast plains heaving with giant herbivores like giraffes, buffalo and zebra, all being followed by mighty predators, including lions, painted wolves and hyenas. But did you know that every continent once had its own equivalent to the Serengeti? In this video, we look at the Indian Serengeti that once was, when humans first arrived on the subcontinent. The best examples of Indian Serengeti that can still be seen today. After all, India is the only place in the world that can rival Africa for megafauna diversity. We'll also look at what an Indian Serengeti 2.0 could look like in the future as rewilding progresses. Note, this video will explore the biodiversity of not just India, but also the surrounding countries that together make up the Indian subcontinent. Firstly, let's look at the megafauna that drove the ecosystems on the Indian subcontinent 40,000 years ago. The African savanna elephant is the largest living terrestrial animal. But did you know that the first humans in India encountered an elephant more than twice its size? Alongside the extant Asian elephant lived two other proboscideans, Stegodon pneumaticus, and possibly the largest land mammal that ever lived, Paleoloxodon pneumaticus, the giant straight-tusked elephant. Its only rival for heaviest land mammal ever was Paraceratherium, though that behemoth went extinct at least 20 million years prior. Today, the subcontinent is still the home of the world's biggest bovines, the two largest species in fact, gaur and water buffalo. But up until 4,000 years ago, the Indian aurochs lived alongside these giants, and possibly also banteng, though it is unclear if the banteng's range stretched as far as the Indian subcontinent. Equines galloping across the Indian Serengeti included one now extinct species, Equus pneumaticus, closely related to today's zebras and asses, and two other species which are still present today, though sadly in much smaller numbers, the kur and the kiang. There were and still are several antelope species grazing and browsing across the different biomes of India, including the black buck, the chinkara and the nilgai. You probably all know the Indian rhinoceros, the second largest rhino in the world, can still be found on the subcontinent. But did you know that Javan rhinos and Sumatran rhinos were also once present? These two smaller cousins play a different role in the ecosystem, being browsers, meaning they eat woody vegetation, rather than grazers like the Indian rhino. Today, there are still more than a dozen deer species on the subcontinent that lived alongside the extinct megafauna. From the tiny mouse deer to the third largest deer species in the world, the sambar deer. And of course, the wild boar and the pygmy hog continue to rootle in the grasslands and forests today. And there were hippos grazing and wallowing in the wetlands. The hippo we know today from Africa was present on the Indian subcontinent until around 9,000 years ago, while the now extinct hexaprotodon hippo also lived alongside the first humans in India until about 25,000 years ago. There were even ostriches racing across the plains of the subcontinent, the fastest animal on two legs in the world. So who were the predators hunting and scavenging on the vast array of megafauna? Most of them still exist on the subcontinent today actually, albeit in much smaller numbers. Tigers, lions, leopards and cheetahs would have been some of the top predators present, competing with each other for food and space. There were even areas where they all coexisted until a few hundred years ago, though I'd imagine these neighbours were more likely to exchange dirty looks than cups of sugar. Alongside the extant striped hyena lived the spotted hyena, which today exists only in Africa. 4 bear species were and are present: the sun bear, sloth bear, Asian black bear and brown bear. Competing with cats, hyenas and bears were the canines, the top dogs being wolves and dhole, which despite being about half the size of wolves, have been recorded hunting gaur and even taking down a baby elephant. They really are an impressive predator. Not to be forgotten, of course, the reptiles. The Indian subcontinent is home to 3 crocodilians: the mugger crocodile, the gharial, and the biggest reptile in the world, the saltwater crocodile. As if that wasn't enough for India's first humans to deal with, they also had to watch out for the longest snake in the world, the reticulated python, and the world's largest venomous snake, the king cobra. Some other amazing predators that live both then and now are the second largest lizard in the world today, the Asian water monitor, feisty little honey badgers that have been seen fighting off lions and leopards, and amazing raptors like golden eagles and white-tailed eagles. So what are the best remnants of Indian Serengeti that can still be seen today? Let's first look to Nepal rather than India itself, and to Chitwan National Park, a vast mosaic of grasslands, scrublands, forests and everything in between, all subject to seasonal flooding. Almost 1,000 square kilometers in size. In this huge wilderness, elephants, Indian rhinos, gaur and wild water buffalo can be found. There are nilgai, Himalayan seerau and wild boar, sambar deer, chital and muntjac. Birds found there include the iconic Indian peafowl, great hornbills and red jungle fowl, the ancestor to domestic chickens. There is a huge array of impressive predators, including dhole, striped hyenas, honey badgers and sloth bears, and of course several cats like clouded leopards, fishing cats, Indian leopards, and the king of the park, the Bengal tiger. The reptile predators match the mammal predators for ferocity in Chitwan, with mugger crocodiles, saltwater crocodiles and gharial all present. So too are Asian water monitors, Burmese pythons and king cobras. India itself has many national parks to rival and maybe even outdo Chitwan, my favourite being Kaziranga. Though Chitwan has a greater variety of large herbivores and predators, Kaziranga has the highest density of tigers in the world, the greatest population of Indian rhinos in the world, and the world's largest population of wild water buffalo. India is also home to the last wild Asiatic lions, which are found in Gir National Park. Cheetahs are living wild again in India, as well as rewilded zebu cattle in Kuno National Park. I go deeper into the lions and cheetahs of Gir and Kuno in the video on screen now, so maybe check out that video after watching this one. So, we've seen the Indian Serengeti that was, and some examples of the remnants that can still be seen today. But what could the Indian subcontinent look like as rewilding progresses? Could the Indian Serengeti of the past, or something much like it, be reborn in the future? The importance of megafauna in restoring biodiversity has been well documented, and so too the reasons we should reintroduce them where possible. If you want a better understanding of that, I explain it in depth in the video on screen now. Many reintroductions have already been made across different projects on the subcontinent, including gaur, water buffalo, kur and cheetahs. Hopefully we see the continued reintroduction of native animals across the subcontinent, and importantly, the expansion and connection of wild spaces, linking populations of animals and strengthening genetic diversity, also allowing animals to re-encounter animals their ancestors once lived alongside, restoring important wildlife interactions. Imagine, for example, wildlife corridors that link the habitats of lions, tigers, leopards and cheetahs once again, and all the other species they competed with and hunted. When these wild spaces are reconnected and the wildlife allowed to recolonize their ancestors' range, could we look into reintroducing some of the animals lost to the subcontinent since humans arrived? Could ostriches be reintroduced to graze and distribute seeds on the savannas of India, providing a valuable prey item for predators like tigers, cheetahs and dhole? Could we see a backbreeding project using primitive zebu cattle breeds to recreate the Indian aurochs, much like what is being done in Europe in the Taurus project, a project to recreate the European aurochs, which has thus far yielded incredible results and is ever improving? Aurochs are believed to have been a keystone species across their range, likely being the main grazer where they were present, similar to the roles played by wildebeest in Africa and bison in North America. Though the thought of relocating Sumatran rhinos or Javan rhinos seems impossible today, given that the two species combined don't even number at 100 animals. Maybe in the future we will see a rise in their populations, as we have with white rhinos and Indian rhinos in recent decades. When that happens, could we see them restored to the Indian subcontinent, to walk the same lands their ancestors once roamed? Two of the elephantids are long extinct, as is Equus pneumaticus, but hopefully the ranges of Indian elephants, Kiang and Kur, will be allowed to expand and carry the flag for their extinct relatives. When herbivore populations are restored, could we see the spotted hyena reintroduced to the subcontinent? Hyenas are an important scavenger, but actually an incredible predator as well, sporting a far higher hunt success rate than any big cat, which just goes to show you can't believe everything Disney tells you. Possibly the most controversial reintroduction would be the hippo. Hippos are the main driver of the ecosystems where they are present in Africa, but they are notoriously dangerous to humans, so it would definitely be a risky reintroduction. That being said, the people of the Indian subcontinent, as well as the people in sub-Saharan Africa, are the most skilled in the world in terms of coexisting with dangerous wildlife. Of course, some of these reintroductions seem very unlikely at this point, and serious research and trials would have to be done before any reintroduction was to be put in place. But can you imagine an India where a pride of lions chase a Bengal tiger off a fresh gaur carcass, where wolf packs battle hyena clans for territory once again, where a Sumatran rhino mother scares off a leopard to defend her woolly little calf? Can you imagine the Indian Serengeti? Do you think any of these reintroductions should happen, or should we just conserve what still exists? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please like the video and subscribe to the channel to help it grow. Thank you, as always, for watching.